6 minutes after 6, I will now call to order the July 11th, 2016 meeting of the East Hampton Conservation Commission. The meeting is being recorded. Are there any public concerns, non-agenda items? Yes.
Hi, David Boyle. Last meeting I asked about getting a certificate of compliance for 221 Northampton Street. In 2007, I left the order of conditions, but I have a tiny bit more information. In 2007, the gas company had an order of conditions for a temporary LNG temporary site. Anyway, they vacated in 2012, and neither I or they followed up on a certificate of compliance. So I just wanted to request one. But one thing, I didn't check the last box because about the plans, because there are some plans, but I don't have them.
Okay, we can check our files.
Yep.
What's the address on the property again?
221 Northampton Street. So I'm just dropping that off, and hopefully you can look into it.
Okay. Yes. Do you have a copy of this for yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will tonight see what we can find for our plans.
Yep.
And proceed accordingly. We'll have to, do we need to schedule a site visit with you, or can we just go?
You can just go.
Okay. Because that's one of the things that we just need to
Yeah.
do. So hopefully we can find the file and the plans and, when do we get these fancy file cabinets? Is that before or after the deeds went missing?
I think it was after.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll find
Well,
something.
even if the plan's missing, I think we'll be okay because
It was all, they built a berm.
Right.
And they did stuff in the dirt.
right, and they installed a pipe from the road to their facility, and that pipe has been removed. So the berm is the only thing that's remaining.
Okay.
So
All right.
very good.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a good night.
You too.
Take care, David.
Yeah.
So I just made a note that that'll be on the 7:25 meeting agenda. And just the plans and schedule a site visit. Okay, so move on. Are there any other public concerns, non-agenda items? All right, we'll move on to a request for determination of applicability for Manhan Trail tree root repair work near Williston Pond, filed by City of East Hampton Manhan Rail Trail Committee. Would you introduce yourself for the record? And
Oh,
then
sure.
come on up and join us.
Oh, bear with me too.
They're welcome to come up too if they so desire.
Come up here. I'm Barbara LeBombard, this is Peter Brooks, and this is John Bader, and we're all on the rail trail. So, back in 2014, we got approval from you guys to remove trees along the Williston Pond. We've got root damage within that general section. And I, at the time, figured we could just pull up the pavement and fix that at the same time, and I found out that that was not included because I didn't put it in the application. So the trees were removed, right, by Williston, took the trees down. There may be a tree or so here and there that would need to be removed still, but most of them are already down, and now we wanna go to the next stage of pulling up the damaged pavement and then replacing it on the same, right where the trail is.
Right.
That's it, that's basically all.
With one caveat, I haven't been down there since the winter, since we cut the tree, but I'm sure they're black locust, and I'm sure it's brought it out again, so they're gonna have to be recut.
Well, and the description of work included limited tree removal to prevent future root damage. So
Right.
vegetation management is
Would be part of that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Check your own hand on the sides of your thumb coming up.
yeah, but they've gotta be sprayed after,
Yeah, you can hit the tops of them.
yeah.
Yep. With stop treatment.
So, but we wouldn't be obviously, we wouldn't increase the width, it would be just we're hoping that the city will help us by taking out the pavement, pulling out the roots, and then we'll have a contractor come in and repave
repave
it,
it.
and hopefully that will help for at least a while.
Great, when do you hope to get the work done?
Well, Joe Pip, from DPW, we've already talked a little bit about it. I said we need to get this okayed first, and then hopefully by the fall, I mean, summer. I mean, depends on how the pavers are, what the prices are, I guess. But soon.
And their availability.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten pretty bad, so, yeah.
Okay, does the commission have any questions?
Does there need to be any erosion controls or anything to protect the area?
Road control?
I
Yeah,
guess
like,
draw a wattle or?
Wattles along the,
Bales.
wattles may be better, because there's not a lot of room there, right? It's real, it's a real tight area.
Yeah, there's about a 3 foot, 2.5, 3 foot before it rolls down the.
Do they have to place a new base before they lay asphalt?
No, no, you just
Pull it up. pull
Just
it
pop up
towards-
the old asphalt and then, in the same width, put down the new stuff.
And they won't need to lay any kind of substrate material before they put the asphalt down? It
No.
just goes straight on the dirt?
Yeah, yeah, they've done that for us, way back on South Street.
South
actually.
Street, yeah.
They just snuck in there and pulled it all up and within that same space, just laid it down and it worked well. They can't put a substrate, the roots just grow right through it. We've been there and done that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think it'll alter anything enough to cause any erosion problems.
So you
Yeah.
feel that
The sides won't be
the side,
affected
the
at
sides will
all.
not get lower than where you're removing, so that.
Oh,
that
no,
doesn't
no, they're not
affect the
touching
bar,
that.
right? So if they just take the pavement out and they leave the sides there,
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
may act
As an edge as they lay the new asphalt in, yeah.
All right, I think I'm fine with it.
The machinery will stay in that path as well, obviously, since there's fences on both sides.
They can't go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
It's back in, back out sort of thing for them.
Any further questions? Questions, comments? Ma'am? All right, would anyone care to make a motion?
We see the motion paper. Thanks. So I'll make a motion to approve the RDA in negative determination category 2, that the work described in the request is within the area subject to protection under the act, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area. Therefore, the said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent.
There a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. So moved. Would you care to flip to the end and sign your name?
Might as well do that while it's here.
As long as we're here, now, the last time we were here, we talked about doing the.
O&M.
Yep.
It's a great idea.
I know, we had sent
Yep.
a skeleton, little, so that is still something that we do need
Okay.
to work on at some point.
Okay. Stay on top of.
Okay.
Operation Day.
So we don't have to come for
Right,
every.
for every
time.
yes. I'm gonna hand deliver this tonight. Yeah. Wait 1 moment. One moment. Make sure that we
Check the box.
check the box.
And then
That's what it was about, I think it's.
Could be 250, could be, but it could be out as far as 280.
Joe, you'll have to.
Can you make an extra
give me
page of the
the-
determination page so that?
It's just in your files.
Sure.
So it's just in there, so
Him go
Yeah.
out,
in
so
case
we'll
we
know
don't have
exactly.
it.
Have appropriate motion.
Thank you.
I don't run into the trouble, yeah.
Hello.
So we'll have to, yeah, have you guys,
Well, I'd rather them do it in one strip, I don't think we're gonna save much if they cut it piecemeal, I
As
think
as
we'll
long
be in
as we know,
trouble.
you measured it again tonight? or-
Yeah, I
Okay,
didn't mark it, but I measured it.
okay,
It's pretty obvious where it was
okay,
gonna
send
be.
me what it was.
280.
we meet with Chuck next week at 6:30, maybe we can just,
Email me, remind me.
Who wants it?
well, it's before the meeting.
Who wants the original?
I'll take it, thank you.
Okay. All
On the
set?
agenda.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. That's fine. Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Just, I tried
Alright,
to scan
Jen.
it, send it to you.
See you later, Peter.
I tried to scan our copy.
When was that?
Just now.
Oh, okay.
You're the only Jessica on there, right?
Yes.
So
we'll confirm at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, right, okay.
Just are you Alan, A-L-L-A-N? A-N-A-L-L-A-N.
A-L-L-A.
Didn't seem to happen.
Should never.
No, they just write E-N, they don't even.
It's been corrected.
Okay, I
every
corrected
time,
it
so I
every
knew.
time. Okay, so, moving on. Since you're here.
Yes,
What do you want to talk about? Why don't we do your signature first?
okay.
Okay, so the last meeting, the commission voted on a partial certificate of compliance for lot 1, 23 Paul Street.
Only two of us were there, or does that not matter?
Did the commission make a motion and was the motion approved?
Yes.
All right, then our signing this is merely a ministerial task and does not require the same people. Okay.
So does this fall under, what does this fall under?
This is going to be,
This request for certificate of compliance?
well, it's from last time, but sure, you can put it under that.
Right.
It's under eight B for Paul.
Maybe that's that one, okay.
Yeah.
351.
And this was, so this is being issued tonight. Yes.
Oh, just, certificate issued July.
As approved, May, whatever,
Last week.
June.
Seven. Seven.
Yes. Who's on first? Papers, all right, let me make sure I did that right. I'll show you what I did to scan, and then you can tell me if I screwed it up.
The railing is in this one.
That's what he told me. He said you're gonna pave the parking lot.
Rough binders down.
Down
Part of
today?
it-
Oh, good.
Part of it's down,
Part of it's down today?
Butterfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good, excellent. Yeah, he said he'd have it all paved. Well done. So.
Big problem now is keeping the plants wet.
Yeah, well, they've been bringing their tanker over.
Yeah.
And the grass is growing really good. They hydro-seeded it, and surprisingly, it's,
We're
when I
getting a little
was
rain
there
here.
Friday, yeah, when I was there Friday, I was surprised how much it came, because thank you, that was before the rain. And it was like, wow, I said, you guys are watering this? She said, yeah, we are.
You got to,
We got it, you know. And the blueberries are good,
Oh, okay, right.
yeah, yeah. You should try some.
Okay. Next.
So, okay, so I just have what I emailed to the commission, RDA for Williston Northampton School for the solar project
Mhm.
at 198 Park Street.
Okay.
We have a legal ad, also a copy of the legal ad, that has been filed with the Gazette for your meeting, on the 25th. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So
Two things for you.
received.
Copy?
Should
Ah.
I just under open business?
I didn't wanna interrupt before public,
I don't even think you need to.
You don't even need
I
to,
need to, yeah, it's real
Because it was received via email, so there's a timestamp already.
Great.
Yep. Alright, so, does anyone wanna keep this, does anyone wanna take a copy home for fun, or I think I forwarded this to everybody.
You did, I saw it.
Yeah, you did, so, alright, so I will just, I will just keep this all together. Okay. Thank you. Next.
so John and Bill Cannon just walked in to
Okay.
talk about, Tuscaloosa Conservation Trust Mutter Field, based on the meeting that we had last time. Some of the other members wanted to defer to you, Jessica. I mean, not Jessica.
I mean,
I
it's
usually,
fine.
it's fine, I
Yeah.
understand. I defer to you all the
It's not
time.
on, so I
Yeah,
doesn't,
Melissa.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, right. As to,
Can you recap for me?
sure,
It's been a few weeks.
sure. You know, yeah, grab your plan, Bill. Thanks. So there's, what is being proposed is an extension of this small trail section going over to connect to the existing and to make some improvements.
And that's,
Um,
this is the 100 here, right?
Correct.
So is
So
that?
it is in a buffer zone, 100-foot buffer zone. It's close, I mean, the stream, the brook, kind of meanders, so. It's, because the embankment
It's very steep.
is very steep, and goes down,
Yeah, very.
very steep through there, so. It probably falls within the 100, right, Bill? I would say. And then the other is to remove the wood chips
Mm-hmm.
and to put, more of the stone dust trap, material down and provide a better path for handicap accessibility from East Green Street and pave, the apron here because
Mhm.
we're having issues with snow plows. Taking up the stone that's there now and people with wheelchairs can't get over the stone.
And the reason for deferring, I believe, was that this is part of an NOI, or an order of conditions that's already been closed, correct?
Correct.
Whereas the
Okay.
open one is over here, and we weren't
Right.
sure how to handle
Correct.
that.
So.
Yeah,
basically-
the NOI that's there, excuse me,
Yeah, it's
you
for
know,
that path
is for this path here.
and the parking.
In the parking
Wherever
lot,
the
correct.
parking is.
Right, so this section here is really not technically part of it.
We didn't know if we could
I mean,
add
it's
it on.
part of the
Add
motor
it.
field.
I don't think we just had
system.
any problems, it's more procedurally.
I think it's fine, I think the question is, does the commission think that this is insignificant? Or does the commission think that this requires an amended order? And given the nature of the area and the nature of the work proposed, I'm inclined to say, as long as erosion control barriers are provided consistent with other practices,
Mhm.
I don't have any issue with this being a minor change.
Yep, okay.
And that was pretty much what we included last time.
Okay, so, same erosion and sedimentation control barriers,
Mhm.
defining the limits of work,
48-hour notice.
48-hour,
Right.
or weekly updates. But actually, no, Jay, one of
Yeah,
us,
Jake, you've already been
probably
out there,
Jay,
huh?
would need to see the erosion control barriers installed before they
Correct,
start
before they-
working,
yeah, that's fine.
so.
Right, right, when they get to that work. They're trying to, keep Pioneer is
Focused.
hopefully focused and gonna finish this week. They've got.
What look at me for?
You're the landscape architect.
The base
You
goes
got the
down,
width.
and Jay said just did it
It's
today.
partial binder on the.
Partial binder, so,
Okay.
so I think this is gonna be hopefully wrapped up this week. As on my report on Friday, I don't know if you noticed, they paved the sloped walkways going down.
Yep.
They
Got the posts?
got the posts in, they just gotta finish those railings.
Ooh, there's solar on the
And-
garage now, that's great.
Yeah, next door, yes. And,
Exciting.
and the grass is growing,
Mm-hmm,
they're watering.
that's great.
And there's some nice blueberries that Bill specced out that
How
are
does-
very tasty.
High bush or low bush, I can't remember.
High bush.
High bush, and they're pretty good. And they're right on the other side of the railing, so it's easy cooking.
Sorry
I love blueberries and other things, but blueberries are,
Hey, who can blame you? So, what do we, this, doesn't, okay, the parking lot and the switchback isn't shown.
is shown on that
Okay,
plan.
on this plan,
The parking lot
so,
would be up here.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And then to make an ADA compliant path, it
Meanders,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Correct, is at a grade going down to the crossing.
Yeah, it's a switchback, switches back.
Okay.
And I was noticing, we had kind of talked about, runoff from the pathways and so forth, the way that they built them, and it's worked out well, is there's about a half or 3/4 inch, lip to the rails that are on either side,
Right.
and the stone dust down below, so during a rain event, it stays all in the path, unless we
Okay.
get a severe rain event. But even at the crossing, which is at the lowest point, you don't see any of the stone dust spilling over the edge. It's working real nice because of the medium that because there's 2 layers, there's a coarser stone material underneath the stone dust, and it's all just percolating right through. So it's working nicely.
Nope. In general, for future. Okay. Alright, so, anyone care to make a motion that we find these additions insignificant, provided proper erosion and sedimentation control barriers are installed for the commission's inspection prior to commencement of work?
I would like to make a motion that we find the proposed changes insignificant, subject to the same erosion and sedimentation controls that are in place for the rest of the project.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay.
May we keep this?
That's part of the,
Or was it, you'd already given us this?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
You have an electronic
Okay.
form.
We have copies.
As long as we have a copy electronically,
Yeah.
we're in good shape.
yep.
Okay. Anything else?
Wilson Galbert Field, the reports,
Yep,
they're,
there's
they're
a- there's a
doing
report.
very nice on it, and,
Yep.
whoops, sorry, Bill, I broke your rubber band.
Ouch.
Nice. Nice, huh? It's the only one I had.
Aw. Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm all set, unless there's any questions.
I don't think I have any questions here.
Hi, John.
Any questions about the cross-country?
No, it's going great,
Looking good.
looks good.
Is there anything that we need to know beyond what's here?
Should we have questions?
No, I just a point of interest, edification, whatever. It's kind of interesting to watch the gabions being installed. They're kind of like the side walls to the steep,
Yeah.
to the slope. We've kind of dubiously called it the chute. But the walls are kind of put in place to keep back the embankment and to kind of define the drainage area, and doing a really nice job on putting the stone in, and they're actually turning the stone faces
So
to
it's
the
more
finished,
aesthetically
to the
pleasing.
finished
Right.
face on the outside, rather than just the jumbled
Mhm.
stone and everything else. So they're doing a nice job on it. Develop a system where they put in plywood panels
Mhm.
in between
See
the cages
Mhm.
to keep them formed, because just the dropping the stone in, it bowls it out and everything else. So they put it in at about 1/3 of stone to keep the shape of the wire boxes, and then they're pulling them out and just kind of like going down the line by putting in these side walls. And so when they get the 1/3 in, they kind of turn the stones up a little bit to have a kind of a smooth face on the outside and everything else, and they can kind of then build it up from there, once that bottom amount of stone is installed.
And Mike, the foreman from AJ Virgilio, is really taking his time, because he was concerned that if he didn't make the face more smooth, if somebody was running by or tripped or fall, they could, catch themselves on the riprap, because riprap is angular stone. So he's doing a beautiful job. They're doing a real nice job.
Yeah, so I've been really happy about, from my perspective at least, with the way they've been taking their time to do it and doing it right and everything else. And it should drain really well once they get the bottom stone in and the wood chip cover on top of that for the running surface. So it should work out pretty well. Plus I think that kind of a system kind of maintains all the vegetation along the side slope and kind of keeps the shaded canopy over the chute and everything else. So it's kind of working out pretty nicely.
Do you have to take any particular precautions to protect the trees where you've cut away at the root base there?
Well, we have cut roots on some of the trees. There wasn't any way around it. But over the years, the roots have been kind of grown that way a little bit too, because that bank has been cut in there. So the tendency of the root ball is to kind of grow where the soil is and everything else. So I think it's been minimized, but there has been some root cutting that had to be done to get the consistent width in on the chute and everything else. But
You're not worried about losing any of those trees, or?
you know, it's one side. It's not like, you know, we're really kind of destroying the root ball all around and everything else. I can just, you know, I'm confident that, you know, I think probably a lot of it will stay in place and everything else, you know, so.
And then at the end of each workday, they reinstall the erosion control barrier, silt fence and wattles across the bottom on each side. So they're really doing it, and they're cleaning up, you know, they're doing a good job.
And I was also impressed with the way they put down all the block mats. You know, they set them right up so the water's flowing nicely, you know, through and everything else. Of course, it's really low, quite
Perfect
low,
timing.
and it's very subtle now, very tamed, which is a good thing. But these bog mats work out great. You know, these heavy timber bog mats that are threaded together with these steel rods or cables. And, you know, they just kind of place these things down and stack them on top of each other, crisscrossing them. And they worked out great for accommodating the heavy vehicles going across and everything else. They have to kind of go up to the stockpile where the riprap is.
Yeah.
And they fill up this steel dumpster. And they carry the steel dumpster down to the bottom of the chute. Where it's a little bit more convenient and faster to kind of pick up a shovel full of the riprap to bring it up to fill it in the bins, but every once in a while, to fill up the big dumpster, they gotta go up to the top and everything. So, it seems like they really know what they're doing logistically to kind of expedite the work here, so to speak, and everything else.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's going well.
But just with all the rain, it doesn't seem like the road is, the actual chute has eroded much at all.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
Well,
no, it's-
that was Friday's inspection before this weekend's rain. Unless
Jay
Jay.
has pictures.
Oh, Jay. Oh, you were there today?
Yeah, there's
Oh, there's nothing.
There's no real erosion or anything from
Yeah.
today.
Right. Right. Good.
Do you have any other?
So I think.
You think you're free?
I'm free.
All right.
Yes, I won't bother you anymore. Yep.
Well, I wanted to let you get time with your evenings. You're the
Yeah,
only
thank
one
you.
here now.
Yeah,
so-
and then whenever you get Logan's
Yep,
order
I have-
conditions, that's fine.
Well, I have the
Just-
signature page for everyone to sign. I did not get through all the attachments. But I will before next Monday,
That's fine. And
21 days. There's
There's
no meeting, which is why I need the signatures tonight.
Right. And honestly, we're not holding the commission to the 21 days. So
Well,
he's not starting this next month. We still have to go through planning for a site plan review next stage. So after we have your order conditions, then we'll be going before planning for a site plan review. So, and he's so busy. Summertime is a busy time, so you know it'd be fall before he would even start. We're working through the winter.
right.
Right, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. So I have no updates on any potential enforcement actions. DEP has basically been, their wetlands program staff has basically been on staggered vacations since mid-June. So, was basically told not
Is
to
this
expect
37
anything out of anyone.
South
Yes.
Street? Or are you moving ahead to Grove?
Any
Street?
of the, well, any of the others, there's nothing to follow up with
Okay.
on 37 South Street at this time. But off Groveland, former Davies Farm, I don't, is there anything at Park Street?
I think
Can
we
we
should
take
take the
that off?
Crown Meadow off because there
Okay.
was really no
Nothing.
indication of anything
Okay,
happening.
we'll take
that
Other-
off.
Other than
Delete it.
vehicles traveling.
Mhm.
in
Just
and
kinda
out.
just delete it from the.
Yeah, I'll take that off the next agenda. And 47 Carillon Circle, I sent DEP some information and I'm not heard back.
Okay. At the last meeting, one of the homeowners from across the street was here, from
Mhm.
44, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her if I had permission to go on her property to look at what she was speaking of, and she agreed to do that. And on the other side of the street, there is this kind of, if you can see it, this kind of plastic culvert thing.
Like a
that-
flared end?
Yeah, that points towards the road.
This is the opposite.
This is the opposite of where the
So
house
this
is
is
being worked.
44 Carillon?
This is, I believe, on their property.
Mhm.
There's a bigger picture of what
Okay.
that looks like.
Mhm.
It points towards the road. Line of sight puts it in the rough area of where that.
Lower line
that
area.
low line area could have been. There are no sewers or any drainage in that area. That's like an open sewer, open stormwater drain that it could be going to. But it's hard to tell in these pictures that whether this is really wetlands. There's not a lot of wetland kind of growth, but it
Well,
kind of.
hemlocks are wetland in mass.
Yeah, because there's so much shade, you're not seeing some of the normal plants
Right.
in there, but it looks like it's had water in it over its period of time.
So if I'm recalling correctly, that, a lot of that neighborhood was built in or very close to wetlands.
Right.
So, probably culvert.
Culvert. And the front yard at 47 has changed more to where there is nothing, but
Wow.
the stones that were in the hole are now on the surface, so it's been really filled in. And there was a company working there today doing lawn work or something. So,
There's a huge pile of dirt over there on Saturday.
maybe it's in the front lawn right now.
Right, so it must have been.
So, we'll see what you get from
Yeah.
DEP.
What are you waiting to hear back on specifically from DEP in case anybody comes in to ask?
Support on jurisdiction. Do you happen to know who the original developer of that area was? I know it was before your time with the city.
Lawrence, maybe?
And the Lawrence were the
Lawrence?
developer of this property as well.
I don't know. I'd
They
have
were
to
the,
look.
the Lawrence developed 47.
We can go back and look in the subdivision files
Okay.
after the meeting and figure out who the original developer is.
Okay. Because it would be odd that it wasn't called out consistently with previous filings.
And we did site visits at this property, this area was all, had silt fence around it, but we never saw any pipe in the hole. All we saw was stones and silt fence and so we never noticed that there could have been a pipe connecting it to another wetland.
It's just an odd thing to do, to send it to a small hole.
Oh, you're talking about the original pipe that connects the two
Yeah.
wetlands together, okay. That goes under the street.
Yes.
Okay, so
And if-
we can, after the meeting, let me
Look at
see
the
what I can find in the
subdivision
subdivision files and
Okay.
see if there's anything that.
But if they never intended to build another house there,
No, it was always a building lot.
oh, it was?
Mhm.
Oh.
And there's nothing on the plot plan.
But maybe they were trying to drain the small thing into the big thing and put that in, you know,
So if there is a pipe there, they've now just buried it?
buried one into
Buried
it
the
if
end of
it
it.
was.
And the way those homeowners was talking, water was like,
Well, they've had flooding problems in their house, but if you look at that whole that whole area could fill up behind their house or alongside their house pretty good. pipe draining into that little area wouldn't dissipate anything.
But what they were saying is when that area was filled, water was like coming up,
Splashing out of the
splashing.
hole.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, the recent filling of the.
Filling,
hole-
yes, filling
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the
Water had been,
importance, yeah.
So what, if any, controls does any part of the city have about putting basements where groundwater is high and ultimately going to be a problem in someone's basement?
That's part of the subdivision process, and if they didn't pick
Who
up on
knows?
it or care or,
It just seems like a lot of the problems, the concerns that are brought
right,
from abutters or residents in general are because,
there are developments that were built in areas they shouldn't have been built in, basically, because the wetland laws weren't strong enough at the time when the
but this is
subdivision.
buffer zone, so there's nothing to say, you can't, there's nothing to say you need to exercise more common sense and not put a basement floor below the seasonal high groundwater table, because at some point in time, there's gonna be a wet basement. There's nothing that says that.
But there's now,
Is there something in the subdivision stuff now that
well, I
helps
mean, that's,
preclude that?
no, the subdivision regs haven't been updated since '95, so I don't know when this was built, but I presume it was probably mid-'90s, so. But that should be part of the subdivision review, because you're,
Asking for trouble?
well, I mean, it just should be part of the review process.
And
And now we have stormwater regs, which is sort of, kind of connected, which, you know, the stormwater regs were only recently put into place, so that just, the topic itself of water coming from the sky and having to go somewhere might have not even really, honestly, have been like on anybody's radar screen in the early '90s under planning board jurisdiction,
It,
you know?
I don't even know what, if any, stormwater management facilities there are in this part of the subdivision, which means it would predate '95. I think that's when the first DEP stormwater policies kicked in.
So they may not have even needed to look at
Right.
how water drains.
So,
It was more, and the subdivision regs are really about road infrastructure, that's the
Sure.
primary focus of them, is how the road is being built, how wide is it, can a fire truck have access, that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. Those other things are more secondary, under the
right,
regs,
Right.
so.
and
anyways.
and I'm just wondering what, if anything, could
We can
be-
look in the files, I doubt.
But what if anything in the future could be done? Because the,
Well, like, we would require them to be looking at drainage at a minimum, and so if you've got, and that information, I presume, would be submitted as data of, you know, but,
okay. So that's where that one stands. Or doesn't. Are there any open space updates?
I sent an email to our tree warden per the recommendation of, the financial director when I went to talk to her about the RFP for the orchard. And she highly recommended that we at least give him a heads up that this is, potentially happening, and look for his input and feedback. And I sent him an email several weeks ago, and I've communicated through his boss that I need to talk to him, and I have not yet seen him yet. So, he doesn't have his own physical email, I have to send it through somebody else to get it to him, so. So hopefully I can touch base with him, but, you know, he typically is looking at the right of ways, but he has a keen interest in all trees in the city. So I think it's worthwhile having at least a conversation with him to talk to him about it.
Is there a possibility that he might actually do the work himself, or just do?
I don't know, I mean, that's part of the conversation that the financial director wanted me to have with him, is he knows tree companies, he might know what an estimated cost might be for the work that we're discussing, just to give us a ballpark number to at least have a framework.
Okay. So, anything else, like the summer project?
Yeah, I have to get back to the woman who contacted me. I needed to talk to procurement about whether it's okay if I can just hire her, or whether I need to advertise it, so I need to touch base with HR again about that, but she's still available, she's not going anywhere,
Okay.
so.
Great. Any other open space topics tonight?
I will note that, just for your own information, there is a group of land trust Initiative, we meet quarterly. And so we just had a meeting recently, and it has representatives from Kestrel, from PCT, from Audubon, myself. And we basically just sort of keep a working list of different open space projects and where they're at and what the priorities are, and based on these different organizations and what their organizational priorities are. So just to make you aware that I do go to these quarterly meetings, and if something comes up that's under your interest, I will certainly let you know, but just to let you know that's happening.
Can you say the name again?
East Hampton Land Protection Collaborative, I think is what we call ourselves.
All right, I don't have any updates on Mount Tom Estates. I've not reached out again. Paul Street Extension, Gillian Estates, there was the update, or the certificate of compliance that got signed off, the partial for 23 Paul Street. Thought I printed a weekly report. We did see a weekly report. Pretty sure it's in the email. Sorry. Pleasant Street Mills.
So it's essentially coming to close out at this point. There is a couple of small things where we're working on. The one part of the project I would note to the commission is that the steep slopes that are near the ramping area that's in the middle of the project area where the two wall segments are, there are plantings that are going in there. There is a discussion because the slopes have come out steeper than the designer anticipated, whether the plant selection that he has picked out will actually work in that location. So he's now back from vacation, he needs to figure out what the next step is and give the contractor guidance. So I just wanna let you know those bear. It looks like they have been hydro-seeded and they're clearly not growing because we have
Nothing
no
is
water.
around.
So there is something on there, but I did notice a little bit of a washout when I was out there. Yeah, I saw that today when I was out there, so,
Okay.
if you need me to ask them to put in some erosion control barrier at the bottom of the
Yep.
slope until they figure it out, I can do that.
Probably top and bottom. Top would help slow stuff down on the slope from the adjacent surface. Just a straw wattle,
Straw wattle,
yeah.
top and bottom, you said?
Yeah, because at the top it'll help intercept
Okay.
flows. Hopefully slow them down so they don't have the same erosive forces.
And if they figure out the plantings this week, then I'm not gonna have them worry about it, I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
if there's an extended period of time where they really
Yeah,
think this is
I
gonna
guess my
happen.
only concern is there are storms again later this week. So
Okay.
either figure it out and do something or stabilize the slope
Okay.
somehow, protect the slope.
So we're in closeout, so I know that we'll be coming for a certificate of completion at some point, but we've got some time, so before that's actually gonna
And you have
happen.
restoration areas.
Yes, in those detention basins that are
Yeah.
off, those are wetland replication areas.
So those might have different compliance monitoring criteria,
What would that be?
probably 2 years post-construction to make sure that, so you could go for a partial,
Okay,
which would close out the structural components of the project.
okay,
But the purpose of the 2 years is, that the plants and seeding actually remain viable.
okay,
So you're looking for minimum 75% survival rate.
okay.
Some contractors don't really put any effort into the plants once they're in the ground because whatever they have to replace in a year, they replace.
Okay.
Except that's just not the greatest for long
I
term.
wish I kind of knew that before I put the documents out, because then I could have held into a 2-year warranty instead of a 1, but that's okay. Sorry, lesson learned. Okay.
Need to double check the order
Okay.
for that. Okay, anything at 15 Cottage
I
Street?
don't think so.
Okay, nothing, I Terry, even though I emailed him, for Oxbow and boat launch, Town Beach. Where's that one? There it is. Work at 184 Northampton Street appears to be continuing, and that order was issued prior to, weekly monitoring requirements, or reporting requirements.
Issued prior to?
Prior to,
Oh, right, cause it's a, yes.
it's an older.
Yep.
Lathrop, there have not been any updates by email. We've already done PCT, Williston, Nashwanik Pond. There was an email on Friday saying that Dan Buttrick is taking point on this with Gary Bolus. So the pre-application data that we
The
requested
testing.
for the pond came back favorably. Dan looked at it, and apparently the first treatment was done last Wednesday. So they're hoping the high heat will actually yield better results. Okay,
But we don't have any follow-up data.
not yet. So I've already mentioned, I need more time to craft the order of conditions, the special conditions for Loven. But I do need signatures, since you all voted to issue this last meeting. Just don't date anything, that's all.
Can I go back to the mills for a second?
Sure.
So I think there's erosion control barriers that are all along the bike path,
Mm-hmm.
can those get removed?
It's stable, sure.
What happened with the Mutterfield extension?
It's a minor
I said
change.
minor, insignificant.
Minor change to the project that's still open,
Yeah.
not a change to the.
Yeah, relative to where the work is occurring.
We really need you.
Okay. What's next? So, catch up from the last meeting. Bunch,
General business?
yeah, signing paperwork. So, here is the category 2, negative determination, boxes checked for Mass DOT. Thank you.
Move the trust offer.
So, we're gonna have to send this out by certified mail.
Sure.
And then when you've got that set up, can you scan and email?
Mhm.
I'm gonna give this to you.
Wait a minute, is that the one that still needs the attachments and stuff though?
No,
Oh, that's a different one.
this is,
Thank you.
that just needs to be filed for Marianne. There's also the Williston, or not Williston, White Brook determination. Wait, do we have this one signed already? No, this one is a copy, this just needs to be filed. Sorry, there's no purple post-it. Okay, US Fish and Wildlife, water chestnut. Times like these, I wish the printer were closer to my desk. Get credit.
You could use your phone.
And I have to carry my phone everywhere.
Like you don't.
I don't.
Leave it on your
desk.
Do you have a copy release function in your computer?
I have no idea what that is. Our copier was making very hot accordion bands this morning, so.
Perhaps not. Same deal?
Yep, original to Cynthia Bettner. And Rob Nunn.
That's a negative determination as well, right?
Yes, there's negative category two.
Do you want me to note category 2?
No, as issued at previous meeting or something to that
Okay.
effect. Would be sufficient.
Did you make one of those copies of that page?
No?
Come on.
Just trying to see, I think he,
Did you show up tonight?
no,
Oh,
there's no phone number.
yeah, it's like they,
I mean, I get that there was a wonderful facility, but they didn't, so we'll just mail it.
I'll just mail it to Rod and Gun. And
Yeah.
if he comes in, I'll just tell him it got sent to the police. I'll hold that one for a little while tomorrow in case he comes in the morning looking for it.
Okay.
And if he does, I'll just do hand delivery.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, alright, so what's next? So, mail.
Old correspondence first,
Okay,
because this came in and I didn't know what to do with it.
okay.
Not
Hi.
Not familiar with the property.
Well, it's a bit late because they sent it June.
Wait a minute, is that, I know what that's about.
Peaceful
Don't worry about
Valley
it.
Farm?
Yes.
Didn't know what it was.
I got contacted by Southampton Conservation Commission because they got the same letter and asked if we had gotten one too. So it's just, I think it's just a notice that they're selling the property. We have.
A right of first refusal?
I don't think it's a right of
Or
first
conservation
refusal, we're part
Oh.
of the named conservation restriction parties. And so they're just notifying us that they're selling their property.
But, okay, that's,
It's a farm, it was purchased with drinking water supply,
okay,
grant money, I believe. The back portion of it, the front portion, I think is still active.
okay.
I think you just,
Where
you can
is
just stick it in the file or recycling bin.
This is Peaceful Valley Farm, mailing address, 1 Burt, B-U-R-T Street,
It's
East
this,
Hampton.
right here, see this white piece right here?
Yeah,
So this piece is surrounded by all of these conservation properties, so it's affiliated with these parcels.
okay. It says some of this
So-
property is under East Hampton conservation restriction.
So it's a dotted line, I think,
Oh,
between the two,
okay,
so they're selling their farm to another buyer.
okay.
Another farmer, not a, I believe so. That's fine, I got it. Thanks.
By June 30th, so I think we just recycle this.
Yep.
It was received from Chris Coe, C-O-E, C-H-R-I-S, C-O-E. Oh, Christine Coe. Of 315 Mountain Road, Holyoke, Mass. Dated 17 June 2016. Not a whole lot of notice.
Sorry, June what?
17th.
Maybe
Well,
that's how
you can have it.
Buy the farm?
The farm. Oh, I think this is for the garden committee. There we go.
What
This
is
is
it?
another Flory lumber invoice,
Oh, okay,
so,
alright.
Do I have to note that?
yeah, I would. East Hampton Community Garden, a May 16th, 2016 invoice, due yesterday
Don't worry about it, I got it.
for $120.46.
All good.
Please and thank you. Did Chris like this? No, Teresa Albanese. Okay. That's disappointing. Alright, so this is the, Ferry Street water main?
Yeah, they called me today, left a message just confirming that you received it, I haven't called them back yet. I also
That was a good
got
shot.
a voicemail from Hatch,
Mont McDonald?
no,
Hatchmont. Actually, I think it's just Hatchmont these days.
about receiving their letter, and so I don't know if there's any other comments you need me to provide back to them, I return their call.
It's exempt maintenance. So we don't have anything to say.
Okay. So what do we say?
Notification of, received notification of, pipeline maintenance activities. Or, just say one. For Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company, Northampton Lateral.
Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company,
That's what they say.
company,
Northampton Lateral.
Northampton Lateral.
that's all their name.
No,
No, that's
Northampton Lateral
the
is the
description of the
lateral
location.
pipe that comes off the main trunk. that
Okay.
Runs from Springfield.
I got a transmittal for cover letter. That can be recycled. Put this under right of way management stuff. Does anyone want their own hard copy? Shall I leave it with you?
Sure.
Okay, I'll split those up by the end.
And that's all for this project?
No, that's the Ferry Street Water Main Bridge crossing. That'll be on the next agenda.
Which I think we got by email tonight.
Yes.
Do I need to note that?
No. Great, that's a decision. 35 Clark Street. House of Mirth Gardens.
Oh, that's just on Cottage Street, it's moving into a
Oh.
storefront next to East Hampton Variety.
This button building one is all interior, right?
This is a change of use for the top floor, no, bottom floor.
Away from another house to something else.
Well, their initial decision had them as just retail, and now wants to do professional space on there and retail.
Not
struggled with that a little bit.
Season
They're not there
tournament.
anymore, they're
I
gone.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No more money.
No. Seasonal, annual dues for MACC. Yep. We need to update though.
Great.
So. Are we all members then?
Yes. You are now?
Can we just put your name where Chris's was? So, is anyone interested in the? Member. Anyone else is?
I need the
You need-
amount.
I'm just reading.
Invoice.
And you have the purple sheet too.
Man, you got a lot of paperwork tonight. Hey Jake, could you use this thing, please?
Sure can.
Thanks.
Well, considering I prepped half of it, I'm well aware.
Huh?
I'm well aware. Anything else? Meeting minutes?
It looks like minutes were not approved
They didn't finish it.
June.
They weren't approved.
No, because every year I ask them what the amount's gonna be during the budget.
Yes.
And they never tell you?
For meetings?
They do, and then it's always more, every year, by like $20.
Tell Jean. Tell Jean.
We have a copy.
381 and say, this is what we budgeted based on
There's
people.
copies out of this machine, but I sent the last three
That's
ones.
them.
to-
This is all of them?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were in a stack. How about that? It's,
I don't know if we all have the right people for all of them, so.
right. May 23, June 13, June 27.
I can't participate in June 27.
Nor
Do
can
we-
I.
Okay, then we don't have a quorum for that, we have to table that.
June 17, everybody but Dan was here,
So we could, we can do that one.
Us.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for June 17th.
13.
13th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved, she was focused on her birthday.
May 23rd,
Was June 17th?
my birthday.
Yeah, that's what I said. No, now you're saying May. Who's on first?
Someone said June 17th and meant June 13th.
That would be you.
No, no, I corrected the
Just-
17th
But
to
I'm-
13th.
I thought you said
I
this, that's
thought
what I
you
said.
said
Oh,
the
really?
17th.
Oh,
I
sorry.
wasn't looking at the paper.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
I'm just repeating.
Okay, so what
May
was the?
23rd? May 23rd.
Were we
At
all
least
here?
we're all here.
Excellent. And motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 23rd.
I make a motion to approve them, meeting minutes from May 23rd.
Alright, second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. So we need to,
Where do we wanna put the one that we're tabling?
take pile. Put my pile and roll.
In case you don't have a good start to your pile already.
Okay, June.
June 13.
Okay.
Can I do them together?
Sure. All right, anything further to discuss? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.